Do you like dominating your fantasy football league? I do. And if you do, you've tuned into the right show. Testosterone back for more matchups, Jeff. Jumping right in. Cincinnati at Baltimore, a divisional game between two teams that I personally don't think are going to do much this season. So is this just one of those fantasy games where everything is going to kind of go bleh?
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like that. You know, Baltimore's defense, although they're somewhat older, it's early season right now, so they're going to be effective. Cincinnati, their defense sucks
Badly.
So I just don't think that it's going to be very much fun either way, because Cincinnati's going to have a hard time doing much, and Baltimore just doesn't have anything on offense to give.
Right.
Willis McGahee might not play, so I mean, this game could be like 13-3. One that I probably won't even look at stat lines for.
Yep.
I mean, who cares?
Me and you've done this show for a long time together, because as you're talking, it's just like you're completing my sentences, man. I mean, I feel the same way. Don't look at me
Dude,
like
you
that.
had me at hello.
Don't look at me like that. I got to scoot over. No, but I totally agree. I mean, the Bengals, they're a team that's really in the hurt box right now. Carson Palmer has a broken nose, and his offensive line has had some changes up front. Their running game, which they were supposed to be featuring, now they don't even have Rudy Johnson anymore. They cut him, and then they lost their starting fullback Jeremy Johnson for a season-ending injury. So I think the injury factors with T.J. Hoosh and Chad Ochocinco, which is official now. Don't get us started. I think they're going to suck, man. I just don't. And I'm a Bengals guy.
It's not going to be pretty. I really think that Chris Perry, now that he's lost big Jeremy Johnson to mow the way for him, is going to have a hard time finding room to go. You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience, not very many in-game carries. And although he's been like the sleeper du jour of drafts here lately, I do think he's going to have a harder time than a lot of people think.
For sure.
Because they're always going to be behind. Their defense, possibly the worst in the league.
Right, I agree.
Horrible.
The one guy that I do like in this matchup that I think could make a big play, and that's the rookie Ray Rice. I mean, it's tough to start him unless he's a flex guy or you start 3 running backs or something like that. But just because Cincinnati's offense or defense is so bad, and because the Ravens' offense is so bad, I think he could get in space and make a long touchdown run.
It would be nice to see this team be able to land big Willie Andrews. Willie Andrews, left tackle, Pro Bowl talent, got cut by the Bengals. The Ravens are talking to him right now. That's what I said, Willie Anderson.
Oh, okay.
He could sign there, and if he does, that's a big upgrade for them. So if that happens, then I like their rushing game a lot more. Ray Rice, keep an eye on him. He could be a spark plug.
We've got to talk about Brett Favre.
He's like the best quarterback in the history of the NFL.
He looks so good.
You know what, man? I'm just going to get a
in
picture.
The green.
We got to get a picture of him and show it on every single show. Should we do that? That would be great.
We should.
He's going to be awesome. And I'll tell you what, he's going to get started off this week in a major way. They go down to Miami, and I just think he's going to be throwing the ball to Jericho Cotchery all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is Favre's coming out party for New York fans. He unfortunately for them, this game's not at home, so they won't be able to get wasted and whipped up into a frenzy with the Boombalottis flashing their boobs from the second floor balcony. You heard about that, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, none of that's going to be going down, but as far as Jets fans goes, they're going to be on and popping this weekend. I think you start Cotchery. You can start Coles if you're in a pinch, if you need to. I'm thinking about starting the rookie tight end, Dustin Keller, because I think Favre is going to light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, he's going to be great. And I'll tell you what, he's got to be really excited because out of his whole career, it's the first time he's ever had a decent team to play on. So he's got to be really excited. I like Thomas Jones a lot here in this game too.
Yep.
I think Miami will stop the run a little bit better than they'll stop the pass. But Thomas Jones, he's multi-talented. He's excited to get things going much better than he did last year. So he should be great. Start him with confidence.
Miami side of the ball, it's pretty dicey. You can't really start anybody. Supposedly Ricky Williams is their starter, but Ronnie Brown is still in the mix, and the coach has come out with some classic coach speak in the last couple days saying, maybe Ronnie Brown is still the starter. We don't know. It's just one of those fantasy nightmare type situations. You don't know which guy gets the goal line carries, and as far as passing game goes, forget about it.
Well, I mean, it's not like the Jets' defense is very good. So if we're sitting here telling you to bench your Miami running backs against the Jets' defense, you know, that means that they're not going to have a lot going on the ground here this year. And primarily it's because they only have Ted Ginn Jr. and I think Ernest Wilford.
Yeah. Pennington
throwing the ball. He's got a noodle arm. I just don't like anything that they're doing on that team. Not now.
Houston,
in 4 years, okay.
Yeah, Houston traveling to Pittsburgh to face one of my Super Bowl picks, and we'll get into this a little bit later.
Interesting.
I like the Steelers this season, Jeffrey, and I think they get it going in a big way this weekend against the Texans defense that is improving. I really think the Steelers are loaded offensively, and I'm gonna be high on them all year.
Well, I totally think that the Steelers are going to get things going early here in this game. To me, Houston's defense very bendable, and I think that Big Ben's going to get it going in the passing game. This is a team that traditionally runs the ball most of the time, but I really think they're going to light it up on the scoreboard through the air. I love Santonio Holmes. I think that his electricity, along with Hines Ward consistency and Heath Miller's consistency, really translates well on the NFL field. And then when you have a committee approach like Willie Parker and Mendenhall, they're going to be solid on the ground too. I just don't like starting Willie Parker or Mendenhall at all this year.
See, I'm going to start Willie Parker this week, and here's why. As Mendenhall has fumbled a lot in the preseason, so the team doesn't quite trust him yet.
Sure.
Whereas they trust Willie Parker. Let's not forget, although he only had a couple touchdowns last season, he was leading the league in rushing yardage when he got hurt. And he's traditionally done very well against the Houston Texans. So I'm rolling Willie out this week. I definitely think he's a starter in this game. I think you can start him with some degree of confidence, whereas later in the season, once Mendenhall kind of gets his chops a little bit, he's not going to be fumbling the ball as often. Then it is going to deteriorate into that running back by committee situation. But Willie's going to be hot early, in my opinion. I'd start him here.
Yeah, very well said, Jesse. I think that you could be really onto something there. As far as Houston goes, I really do think they're going to throw the ball a lot this season.
They have to.
And here in this game, too, it really shapes up to be the kind of thing where they get behind early, like we've said in other numerous matchups, and they throw the ball a lot. They've got Andre Johnson. He's healthy. Matt Schaub and him have a great connection. I think that those two players you can start. The rushing game, we're still waiting to see who's going to be the man. Hopefully you don't have to play any of their backs.
Yeah, you got to avoid all those backs until we see if one of them steps forward. Amon Green is supposed to be the starter. There's been some whispers that Steve Slayton might get the start. Chris Taylor is there. I'm hearing that they might even have some interest in Tatum Bell. So
committee.
Yeah. So just avoid that whole situation. But I'm not going to start Matt Schaub in this game. I think the Steelers' defense, and we saw some of this when the Vikes played them in the preseason. They've got that situation where like one down lineman will be in a stance and all the other guys will just be kind of milling around up by the line. You can't tell who's going to come in that blitzing scheme from Dick LeBeau. So I do think Matt Schaub is going to get sacked a few times in this game and pressured. I wouldn't be surprised to see Andre Johnson catch a touchdown pass, but I think the Texans' hopes are high. I think they get a stark dose of reality playing a team that I think is among the NFL's elite
in Pittsburgh,
this week.
and they are. They're a top 5 team in the NFL.
Absolutely. The final matchup of this segment, strike that. We've got 2 left. Jacksonville at Tennessee. The next one we're going to talk about, the Jags, a team that really has elevated its play under David Garrard. He's trying to take another step forward in his second full season as a starter. Jeff, he faces a tough Tennessee defense here. What do you think about the Jags offense, and what are they going to be able to accomplish?
Well, this is going to be a hard-fought game between two very pride-filled teams. It's a divisional matchup. I think the Jags are going to stick with what they've normally done, and that's run the ball like crazy. A lot of Fred Taylor, a lot of Maurice Jones-Drew, and then David Garrard checking off to various different nondescript wide receivers. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. So honestly, I don't really like any of the Jaguars players offensively here in this game. And although I think you can start their defense.
Right. How about the Tennessee squad? I mean, their offense doesn't have much of a passing game either. I mean, their starting wide receivers are Justin McCarron and Justin Gage. Pretty diseased. They do have Algie Crumpler. I could see him maybe catching a few balls here, but I mean, I concur. Tennessee's going to struggle offensively too.
Well, and I really do think that they're going to go wherever Vince can take them, and he can take them a long ways on the ground. He still has yet to develop that passing game. The Jags are a pretty good quality team defense, so I do think that they're going to have a harder time on the ground. I don't like Lindell White in this matchup. I do think that they're going to develop into a committee approach. The player I like the most here is Algie Crumpler. I do think that his experience with Michael Vick and the Falcons will really translate well over to this Tennessee Titans team, who's in very bad need of a target, and I think he gets in the end zone one time here in this game.
I'm going to throw a little theory out there for the people at home. When you have this backfield committee situation like the Titans have, they have a power back in Lindell White and they have a speed back in Chris Johnson. I tend to think that power backs struggle against power defenses. This is a power defense here. Speed backs can exploit power defenses, whereas speed backs struggle against fast defenses. So if you've handcuffed Lindale White and Chris Johnson together, you've got to give serious consideration in this game to either benching Lindale White completely, or if you're in a spot where you need to, you might start Chris Johnson, which is a big risk.
Yeah.
I'm definitely saying it's a big risk. But I agree with you, Jeff. I don't think Lindale White's going to do much of anything.
Yeah, and one more side note here in this game about the Jaguars specifically is I think that there's a good chance. I know that they're going to be playing with very heavy hearts. Their defensive tackle was shot. Isn't that right? Shot?
Yeah, I think it was.
And he's in critical condition right now, and I think that this team could be distracted by that. Hopefully they come together around this situation.
Right.
And are able to develop the chemistry that they need for a playoff push. They're expected to go to the playoffs and do some things, so this development's very interesting to watch.
Carolina traveling to San Diego to face our webmaster's favorite team, Zizzo. I know you're watching at
What
home.
up, Ziz?
And you're going to love to see this game because LaDainian Tomlinson back on the field. You didn't see him at all throughout the entire preseason. Jeff, this guy is basically viewed as the #1 fantasy player, maybe one of the best fantasy players of all time. What's LT going to do in his first action, his first taste of real football?
Well, I really think he's going to light it up in a big way. Carolina's got some talent on defense, but this is San Diego at home. They're going to get things going in a big way here. I really love LT and the rushing game. How can you not?
Right.
And I really also like the passing game a ton. Vincent Jackson is a great sleeper in your league right now. I think he could have a decent game, although to me, the touchdown through the air, there should be 2. They'll probably go to both Antonio Gates and Chris Chambers, possibly LT getting in the mix there. So Vince Jackson could have a couple nice big gainers, but I doubt he'll get in the end zone.
I'm watching Antonio Gates very closely in this matchup. I want to be able to see if he's got that explosion that he normally has off the line, the ability to separate from the linebackers. I'm really worried about his toe, and I don't have him in a single one of my leagues. I've avoided him completely just because I had a nagging toe injury in college for a season. I know it really took a lot of my explosiveness out, Jeff. I mean, I instead of running a 5.6, I ran like a 5.8.
Well, dude, you're not supposed to stick it there.
Oh, sorry, man.
And you won't hurt yourself.
Carolina, on the flip side, they're a team that have high hopes this season. They have a great run in the middle of their year with a bunch of easy matchups. But, they're going into a hostile environment. They don't have Steve Smith, their biggest playmaker.
Right.
I don't know, man. I get the feeling Jake Delhomme might get roughed up here.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. I do think that D'Angelo Williams will get off to a nice start here in this game. I like his explosive ability out on the edge. Jonathan Stewart's taken some time to come back from his toe injury, and I just don't think he's been able to pick up the playbook fully, and he won't be able to make an impact. He didn't look really in a rhythm during the preseason, a little bit lost still.
Right.
And I think that they'll rely heavily on D'Angelo Williams. DJ Hackett they brought in from Seattle at wide receiver position. He should pick up the slack for Steve Smith, albeit Steve Smith, although he's not very big, he leaves some big shoes to fill.
Absolutely.
And Hackett won't do a very nice job of filling those shoes, but he could be good for about a touchdown and 70 yards.
Maybe.
Maybe
not.
A pretty tough secondary. Delhomme could throw 2 or 3 interceptions here.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm picking the Chargers in this matchup, and I'm kind of trying to avoid as many of the Panthers outside of possibly D'Angelo Williams.
Even though you have way too much man love for Steve Smith.
I got him in 3 leagues, man. He's going to be great when he comes back. So we thank you for joining us. We're going to take a brief break, and if we haven't told you enough times already, why haven't you went to our website yet? What the hell is your problem? TestosteroneSports.com. It's the bomb. Go on there, check it out. It's all free. I can't explain that enough. It's free. Everything on the site is free. So check it out. Hop onto the Fat Chat after our show tonight, TestosteroneSports.com. We'll be back right after this with Zach Miller.
Okay, so Jeff from Testosterone talking with one of our favorite players, Antoine Winfield. Antoine, you had a few days in pads now. How you feeling so far?
I feel pretty good. I think we're just completing our first week of training camp. It's getting a little warmer day by day, but we're working each day to get better.
Yeah, well, I can tell you guys are working hard out there for Coach Leslie Frazier. Right now we've got a couple of new additions to the defense. Could we first just talk about real quickly Madu Williams and what's he going to bring to the unit?
This I think is Madee's 6th year in the league, so he's a veteran. He's played the safety position, started a lot of games for Cincinnati the last couple years. A lot of veteran leadership. He has great ball skills, great speed, so he's able to get sideline to sideline.
Yep. Last season we got passed on a lot, And so during the offseason here, we brought in Big Jared Allen to play defensive end. How do you think that's going to affect you guys as a secondary unit?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing for us. Anytime you get a DN coming off the edge, getting after the quarterback, doesn't give him that much time to go through a second and third read. So looking for big numbers out of him this year.
Excellent, excellent. So I see you're carrying your pads, man. You got to go find Terrell to carry your pads for you, man.
Actually, I think they're out there still at work. You see them over in the corner right there. So
yeah, that's
gotta
right.
get out here and get my lift in.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, thanks a lot for coming out, man. Appreciate it.
No
Good
problem.
luck to you, dude.
All right, talk to you.
What's up, fantasy football junkies? It's Jesse talking to you about my favorite fantasy football website on the web. That's testosteronesports.com. Of course, it's my favorite because it's the website that goes hand in hand with this show that we love to do. The website, also a labor of love. But you're probably saying, Jesse, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for you is total league domination. The reason you've got to check out testosteronesports.com is we break down all of the matchups on a weekly basis. We have a bench start article that comes out every single week. Right after the show, we host a fat chat where you can come online with us, ask us your matchup related questions. We'll tell you who we think you should play and who we think you should stick on your fantasy bench. It's all about dominating your fantasy football league. And the best part is all of the content is updated daily and it's all completely free. Yes, that's right. You don't have to pay $49.95 to find out if your player practiced on Friday. I do up-to-date player profiling for all of the different players that are pertinent to your fantasy information, so you don't have to worry about going through a bunch of information that doesn't matter to you. All the players that we profile on our website, testosteronesports.com, are all fantasy relevant guys. So get on there, online, check it out, testosteronesports.com. There's games that you can play on there. It's just there's a plethora of things on there for the fantasy football junkies, and it's free, 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 free. I know everybody loves free things. My favorite thing in this life is free beer, but next to free beer, it's free fantasy football. So get online, check it out, testosteronesports.com to help you dominate your fantasy football league.